The last text she sent said, "I think someone is following me." Nobody replied. 3 days later, her car was found running, engine on, door open, coffee still warm, and she was gone. If you're new here, welcome to the Story Vault, where we uncover the cases that will haunt you long after the screen goes dark. If this kind of storytelling moves you, subscribing is the simplest way to show your support. Now, let's get into it. Her name was Marisol Vega. 26 years old. A nursing student in her final semester, 3 months away from the life she had worked every exhausting, underpaid, sleep-deprived day to build. Her friends described her as the kind of person who remembered your birthday without Facebook, who showed up when nobody else did. Her mother said she lit up every room she walked into. Past tense. Because on the morning of October 4, 2023, Marisol simply ceased to exist in the world as anyone knew it. The last person to see her was her roommate, Dana. She watched Marisol grab her keys, her travel mug of coffee, hazelnut, always hazelnut, and her nursing bag. Dana said she looked tired but normal. She told me she'd be back by 9, Dana later told investigators. I didn't even look up from my laptop. That guilt, she says, will never leave her. Marisol drove her silver Honda Civic to Ridgemont General Hospital for her clinical rotation. She clocked in at 7:02 a.m. Everything was ordinary. She chatted with colleagues. She checked on patients. She ate half a granola bar in the break room and complained about the vending machine being broken again. At 11:45 a.m., she clocked out early. The reason logged? A personal emergency. Nobody saw her leave. No one thought to ask why. That's where the story should have continued. It didn't. At 2:17 p.m., a highway maintenance worker named Gerald Okafor was trimming overgrowth along Route 9, about 4 miles from the hospital, when he noticed a silver Honda Civic parked halfway onto the shoulder. Engine running. Driver's door wide open. He assumed someone had pulled over feeling sick. He walked closer. The coffee in the cup holder was still warm. Her bag was still in the passenger seat. Her phone sat face up on the dashboard, screen cracked, battery at 4%. And Marisol was nowhere. Gerald called 911. Investigators arrived within 20 minutes. What they found turned a missing persons case into something far darker almost immediately. There were no signs of a struggle inside the car. No blood. No forced entry. But on the ground beside the driver's door, pressed into the soft dirt of the shoulder, were 2 sets of footprints. Marisol's shoes, identified later by the tread matching a pair found in her apartment, and another set. Larger. Heavier. Whoever it was had been standing just inches from her door. And both sets of prints walked away from the car together. Not one chasing the other. Together. That detail kept investigators up at night. Detectives pulled her phone records. The texts to Dana about being followed had been sent at 11:52 a.m., 7 minutes after she clocked out of the hospital. The texts went to 3 people, Dana, her mother Carmen, and a contact saved only as M. Dana didn't see it until hours later. Carmen saw it immediately but assumed Marisol was being dramatic. She had been anxious lately, studying too hard, sleeping too little. Carmen texted back at 12:04 p.m. "Call me when you can, Mija." Marisol never opened it. The contact labeled M was a number registered to a prepaid burner phone. It was never traced. Here's where it gets worse. Investigators reviewing hospital security footage found something nobody had flagged. At 11:39 a.m., 6 minutes before Marisol clocked out, a man entered the hospital's main lobby. He sat in the waiting area facing the exit corridor that led directly to the staff parking lot. He wore a gray jacket, a baseball cap pulled low, and kept his face angled away from every camera as if he already knew where they were. He sat for exactly 11 minutes. Then he stood, walked out the same door he came in, and got into a dark blue pickup truck parked directly across from Marisol's Civic. The truck's plates came back to a rental. Rented 2 days earlier with a credit card tied to a fake identity. The rental company's lot camera caught the driver's partial face during drop-off the following morning. Investigators described him as a white male, mid-30s to mid-40s, medium build. That description alone covered roughly 4 million people in the state. 3 weeks passed. No Marisol. No credible leads. Her face was on every local news station, shared hundreds of thousands of times online, and still, nothing. Carmen kept her daughter's phone charged and plugged in, waiting for a notification that would never come. Then on October 29th, a hiker named Priya Nair was walking a trail in the Blue Water Nature Reserve, 12 miles from Route 9. She almost missed it. A flash of color in the tree line. Marisol's nursing badge, hanging from a low branch. Still attached to its lanyard. Still clean, almost deliberately placed, as if someone wanted it to be found eventually. Search teams mobilized within the hour. They found Marisol's body in a shallow ravine 200 meters from the badge. She had been there for weeks. The medical examiner's report, partially released to the public, confirmed she had not died at that location. She had been moved there. Deliberately. Someone had taken time. Someone had been careful. And that carefulness, that cold, methodical precision, told investigators this was not impulsive. This was planned. The investigation turned immediately to people in Marisol's life. Her ex-boyfriend, a man named Trevor Walsh, had reportedly been struggling with their breakup 6 months prior. He had called her repeatedly in the weeks before her disappearance. He had shown up at the hospital once, unannounced. But Trevor had an alibi, confirmed by 3 independent witnesses and security footage placing him 200 miles away at the time of her disappearance. He was ruled out. The grief on his face when investigators told him, witnesses said, was real. So investigators circled back to the contact labeled M. A digital forensics team eventually recovered a deleted conversation thread from Marisol's phone's corrupted data. The messages were fragmented, partial sentences, missing timestamps, but what was recovered painted a picture of someone she had been communicating with for at least 6 weeks before her death. Someone she seemed to trust. Someone who knew her schedule, her rotation days, her routes home. The fragments read like pieces of something ordinary. See you Thursday. Drive safe. I'll be waiting. That last one was sent the night before she disappeared. As of today, no arrest has been made. The case remains officially open. Investigators believe the individual who contacted Marisol through that burner phone is the same man captured on hospital security footage, and the same person who stood beside her car on Route 9. They believe he is still out there. And they believe, given how prepared he was, how invisible he managed to stay, that Marisol was not the first. Carmen Vega still drives Route 9 sometimes. She doesn't know why. She says it's the last place her daughter was alive, and being close to it makes the distance feel smaller. She has one request for anyone watching, anyone who recognizes a gray jacket or a dark blue pickup or a face that matches that partial image released by investigators. Call the tip line. Don't assume someone else already did. Because nobody replied to Marisol's text either. And that silence cost everything. If this story stayed with you, and something tells me it did, hit that like button and leave a comment below. Tell me what you think happened. Tell me what detail unsettled you the most. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the Story Vault. Every story we tell here is one that deserves to be heard. We'll see you in the next one.